p.m., March 9, 2023. This is a meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board, City of Riviera Beach, Florida. If you wish to speak on any items on this agenda, please complete a public comment card and provide it to the Planning and Zoning staff members. Cards must be submitted prior to board discussion of an item. Thank you. Please let's have a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Davidson.
Margaret Shepherd.
Here.
James Gallen.
Here.
Renee Burgess.
Here.
Evelyn Harris Clark.
Present.
William Wiley.
Present.
Frank Fernandez.
Present.
Anthony Brown. Russell Barnes. Here. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Do we have an acknowledgement of board member absence notification?
Yes, Mr. Brown did advise that he would not be present for this evening's meeting, sir.
Thank you. Any additions and deletions to the agenda? Mr. Sermons?
None from staff.
Any disclosures from board members? I don't see any in my batch. No disclosures? Disclosure of board members? And
None.
adoption of the agenda?
None, sir.
And we'll move on to adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Margaret Shepherd.
Yes.
James Gallen.
Yes.
Renee Burgess.
Yes.
Evelyn Harris Clark.
Yes.
William Wiley.
Yes.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Approval of the last meeting minutes, but I don't seem to see them in our batch. Were they prepared?
No, sir, they'll be ready for the next meeting.
Okay, then we move on. Mr. Sermons, we're now back into unfinished business.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will be bringing back the item related to the Cedro Azul townhome plat, and for this presentation, I will yield the floor to Assistant Director Linda Mia Franco.
Before we start, that's the same when we moved from our last meeting. There were some technicalities that Mr. Brown, Board Member Brown brought up. Were those rectified?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Linda Mia Franco for the record. So this item was tabled last month, or actually not last month, last meeting, because there were some clarifications regarding the plat and the existing versus the proposed. So here we did rectify that. This is actually,
Could you speak into the mic?
is it on? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
We did actually rectify that and clarify that. So the resolution remained the same. What we did change was instead of putting, in order to accommodate townhomes, it was to accommodate future development. So that way it was clear that any use that's allowed under the zoning would, come forth before us, before you, after they go through our process. So we did change that. We changed it in the staff report. This is the location map of the lots 10 and 11. The site is outlined in red, and it's on the intersection of Avenue N and Northwest 28th Street. These are the two lots with their own legal description. This just shows the unity of title for the lot. This is actually the original plat, and it's outlined in red. You see the red boundary there is lot 10 and 11, which was the plat that one of the board members mentioned they wanted to see, so we brought it forth. And then this is the proposed plat, which would actually join both lots and it would create what's called Lot 10A, Block 4. So staff recommends that the city council review the submitted application, Plat PA 22004, and approve the replat for future development to be located at parcel control numbers 56, 43, 42, 2910-004, 0100, and 56, 43, 42, 42, 2910-004, 110. This concludes my presentation.
So basically what we're doing is we're just combining the lots, am I correct?
Correct.
And then anything that's going to be built on the lot will still have to pass through your team members and abide by our ordinances
Absolutely.
and codes?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Shepherd, do you have any questions?
Not really. I pretty much understood. You say put them together. But I want to tell you, I looked at that picture and I knew exactly where this particular lot is, and I'm not happy with it. I have to pass through there every Sunday going to Hilltop, and this is what I see. And if you want me to think that you're going to put this together and they build townhouses over there, I have some real issues, because right now that area is congested. But I understand we're just talking about the plat. But when you come back, it's going to be an issue with me, because I'm just not happy with the area. It is unthinkable somebody would really think to put townhouses in this area. Why, I don't know. But I understand. I understand, but this is just ridiculous. They're coming into neighbor and just building whatever they want to build in the neighborhood. But I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gallo?
No question.
I just would have liked to see, because we don't have the minutes from the last meeting, all of the items outlined and where they were in the presentation. Because we didn't have the minutes to go back and say, okay, these were what we recommended, and then see those changes in your presentation. So that's my comment.
In the future, can we have that added? If there's any changes, can we just make sure we have both changes? This is what it was before. Based on the recommendations from the board, this is what it is now.
Okay, sure, we
Okay.
can do that. We can do that, and perhaps even do it on the staff report, because we did amend the staff report, and perhaps just put a little verbiage of the planning and zoning meeting.
Perfect. That way it's clear for the board members.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I have nothing. Mr. Wiley?
Yes, I know I wasn't here last week, last session that we spoke about this, but I went by the property a couple times, and looking at some of the information here, I agree with Mrs. Shepherd a little bit, because in that area, they have townhouses. Like I said, it is a very congested area. The roads are not really that big. There's a lot of houses right on top of each other in that area, and to have some nice townhouses, I mean, I want that. We want something nice and everything, but to see the design that you have there, like you said, it's going to be a bit congested. I would love to see what the layout is really specifically going to be like, because like I said, once we're doing now, we're just trying to get that land approved. But once that happens, what is it really going to look like in that area, and then how it's going to be, accepted, I guess, in that community? Because what would the price range be for something like, for the townhouses that'll be in that area? Is there any idea on that yet, or are you still waiting for that too?
We're still waiting for
You're
a
still waiting for that?
submittal, and what we had was the schematic that was in the backup for the previous.
Right.
And even that, if I was to show it, it would probably muddy the waters a little bit
It'll
more,
change,
because
right.
you would look at that and be, oh, you like it or you don't like it.
Right.
So definitely that's something that we would definitely have the applicant address when we come back before you.
Okay, because I'm all for the beautification and becoming better. But again, in that area, that's a very, very small area and everything like that. So like I say, we'll get to that when we get to it.
Once you meet with the developers, since you're getting input from the board, could you kindly address that with them before they come to the board with a final project for their new plat?
So we kind of plan it.
Yeah, so we can take a look at it and we can plan it. And I'm sure your team members are going to be out there doing traffic studies, taking a look at landscaping, parking, accessibility, egress, ingress. So I'm sure all that's going to be addressed.
Yes, as part of the DRC team, they look at traffic, they look at water connections. Just to point out, something that I did add was the aerial that shows a little bit of a larger area on the aerial. And you do see that there are like existing multifamily units on both sides, and there is a single family, so there is a mixture of housing types.
Okay.
So that's something that we definitely look at as far as like, is it compatible? Are the units with the amount of parking that's necessary? Is that going to be, that's part of what will dictate the size that they can actually build and the setbacks. And we will certainly be looking at that as well.
Thank you. Ms. Clark?
Yes, I understand that we are voting on the joining of the plats. I'm here to say that neighborhood is poverty-stricken. It's those multi-level properties basically are managed by slumlords. The community is terrible. I spoke with the residents, especially those that are in the single-family homes. They've seen the signage of the request for potential build of multi-level housing, and they are just absolutely upset. They're elderly people who have lived in that community for 58 years with the impression that when they invested, they and their families, that this was going to be a residential community, and they said that all of these multi-level unit homes sprung up and they keep coming. I also queried to find out what the average rents around for a 750 square foot tiny multi-level multi-unit. It's between $2,000 to $2,500 a month. Many of them are empty because nobody can afford to move in them. They are just placed in between residential homes and other multi-units. And some of the residents were telling me that so many people have moved out of the community, matter of fact, moved out of the state of Florida because they feel that they cannot afford the rents. One unit that was newly built that I took a look at was bought for practically nothing and now is on the market for $500,000 for 750 square feet, 4 units, selling for $500,000. So I'm just saying that to say I understand what we're voting on, but a lot of the community is feeling that these type of developers coming in are displacing them, not only in the city of Riviera Beach, but in the state of Florida. And I certainly empathize and understand because I'm dealing with that in the area where I live at too. But that was all that I had.
Well, we already discussed about making sure the developers, when they come in and want a piece of property, not just that yellow sign they stick on the ground. Please, they got to make sure they reach out to the area residents, maintain logbooks of who attends what. We've had communities, other developers that come in different areas, and they invite the residents in. So by the time we get here, all the questions have already been asked of the residents, and at least we get their input.
Chair, you are absolutely right on that. Just speaking with the residents, they feel defeated.
Yeah.
They feel defeated as to what had happened to them years ago with the city allowing these units to be built, and now they're slum units. The neighborhood is trash. The units are trash. Many of them say that the people who do afford to live over there, they're in criminal activity. So unfortunately, that's the way it is, but we're just voting on this plat right now.
Just the plat, correct. Mr. Barnes?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
may I ask the attorney one thing? They're saying 6 townhouses. Do they really have to build 6 townhouses? Could we say, no, we don't want 6, we maybe want 4? Is that possible? They might agree to that. How does that really work?
I don't know, Mr. Sermons, do you want to address that? I I think part of the issue is that we don't know yet what they're going to come in with since we don't have the submittal from them.
Okay.
So we don't know, there's a conceptual, but we don't know if that's actually what they will submit. And so once we have a submittal, we'll be able to determine, first of all, whether what they're asking for in terms of units is in compliance with the zoning code. And if not, we'll obviously have to address that with them. But when I believe that site plan will come here before planning and zoning for their review, and at that time, if there's a compatibility issue with the number of units they want, that's certainly something that you could comment upon.
Yeah, but
And
before they
to-
get here, Mr. Sermons, before they get to us with a plan, we're letting you know, and your team know, exactly our sentiments and the sentiments of the residents. That way you can speak to the developers and come up with an amenable plan that would be acceptable.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
just one more question before my thoughts leave. Townhouses. I just don't see townhouses in that area. And I think as you all are talking and the minutes are being recorded, that the developer or whoever owned this property should understand that stretch of land, because I go there every Sunday, and I watch the neighborhood, and I'm just dumbfounded because it's a lot of crime on that street. And I hope they listen to me. It's their property. I can't stop them from building or having this conceptual plan, but I do want to just send a clear message. I don't see townhouses. I'm okay with the plat. It's their property. It's their property, and I understand it. But I think coming into our neighborhood, they have to understand it should be a code. They just built the duplexes, I think was it about 2 or 3 months? I think they're just opening that up, and they're beautiful. But it's trash. Fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chair, I think that also goes back to code enforcement doing their job. I drove by there also, and I see it's a couple of mostly apartments look like that's over there. I think I saw one residential home, but I think it's a lot of code violations that need to be taken care of over there in that area also.
Absolutely.
Mr. Sermons, we've spoken on that in the past, and I've already had a conversation with one of your representatives. I understand you've hired several new code enforcement, and they're going to be coming online. Would you explain that to the board, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Clarence Sermons, Director of Development Services. The city was afforded additional grant funds the year before last, and a big portion of those funds were utilized to expand our code compliance capabilities. We hired 4 additional staff persons to address the property challenges we have across the city. And they are very aware of this neighborhood and various others. And as a result of that, our code compliance hearings have had a higher volume of cases because of the additional eyes we've had on the ground. And we've been able to better enforce our zoning regulations for residential as well as commercial properties and our convenience stores around the city and in corner stores and neighborhoods such as this that seem to be no's for violations and other types of activities. So it has yielded additional results for the city. But even my code compliance staff, when they saw that something was being proposed there, they had concerns as well. They said, hey, this is a part of the city that's a big challenge. And they told me they want to make sure if something is developed here that is quality, because that is a challenging part of the city, to your points.
Okay.
Chair?
Yes.
I think the young lady that's in the burgundy sweater, what is your name and your title?
I'm sorry, my name is Christy Gatto. I'm sitting in as your attorney this evening, since you had your former attorney, I believe it was Lana Busby, who was assisting this board. She resigned, so I am outside counsel to the city. I actually do the code enforcement for the city.
Okay. You made a comment that, granted this is the plat, that the applicant doesn't have any idea of the configuration of what they're going to build that. I just find that really not really acceptable. Anyone who purchased land, you have an idea of what you're going to do with it because that's part of the acquisition, how you're going to make your money back or even make more money back. And you're looking at your cost to build and everything else. So I find that they should have that. If they don't, that's not good business. It's just simply not. I don't know if the applicant is here that they can provide what they're going to do. I just find it unimaginable whether it's 2 units, 4 units, 6 units. They got the land. They know exactly what they're going to do or they would not be in this business.
Mr. Chair, if I could clarify, staff communicated at the previous hearing and to our outside counsel that there is no development application before staff right now that we've reviewed and could provide feedback on, review against the code, or bring to this board for review. We are aware that the applicant wants to build a product similar to a townhome style development, but until they've submitted that and we could say what is or isn't allowed or what does or does not meet our code, we would not be able to provide more detail on what is being proposed here and whether it is higher or lower quality. Right now, we don't have any development applications other than this plat, but we are aware that the applicant wants to develop a townhome product here.
I appreciate that. I understand they're going to, their application is in, but they have a very clear understanding, idea what they're going to do because they wouldn't be in this business and moving forward at some point in time. But that's all I had to say, Mr. Chair.
As we mentioned in the last meeting and we reiterated during this meeting, when you meet with the developers, please discuss with them our concerns, our issues raised by area residents. So when they come in with a proposal, you guys can work on it. How's that sound?
Sure,
Okay?
absolutely.
With that being said, do I have a motion to accept?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, Mr. Barnes, the alternate, is here tonight. He's not a voting member, but I don't know if he has a comment.
No, he said no earlier.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Thank
No
you.
problem. Moving on, do we have a motion to approve the plat application PA 22-0004?
Move to accept.
Second.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
James Galvin?
Yes.
Renee Burgess?
Yes.
Evelyn Harris Clark?
No.
William Wiley?
Yes.
Frank Fernandez?
Yes.
This motion passed with Ms. Evelyn Harris Clark dissenting.
Thank you, Ms. Davidson. Now we'll go on to new business.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Board. I am, again, Clarence Sermons, Director of Development Services, and I am presenting this item before you today. And
Item 8, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving site plan application SP 20-23 and special exception application SE 2002 from Point West Riviera Beach, Inc., to construct a gas station consisting of a 5,411 square feet convenience store and outdoor seating area with 22 fuel pumps on 2.8 acres parcels of land located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Beeline Highway and North Military Trail, identified by parcel control number 5642-4225-41000-001 0060 and 5642422541 0000050, having a commercial future land use designation and a general commercial zoning designation, providing for conditions of approval and providing for an effective date.
All right, and before you, there is a city boundary map, and highlighted in red is the project location near Military Trail and Beeline Highway, also known as Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This image before you shows a closer view of the property, Military Trail, Blue Heron Boulevard, and Beeline here, and this is the subject parcel. It is located in this block here, known as the Medical Triangle. These are views of the property facing south on Military Trail. It is the vacant parcel here. And this is heading north on Military Trail. The subject property is here. In the background, you can see one of the two hospitals that exist in the triangle, and in the far background, you can see the VA hospital. The proposed development. The applicant is requesting approval to construct a filling station or gas station consisting of a 5,411 square foot convenience store and outdoor seating area with 22 fuel pumps on 2 parcels of land totaling 2.8 acres of land. Again, the existing conditions are vacant. The lot size is 2.8 acres. The existing zoning is commercial general, and the future land use is commercial. The image before you is the proposed site plan. The property, again, is south of the existing hospital here. There's a detention area here, a vacant, undeveloped property here, and parking to the immediate north. There is Military Trail and the proposed access from there, as well as another access point from MLK or Beeline Highway. I mean, this is the layout proposed for the fueling stations, convenience store, and the fuel area for large 18-wheeler vehicles. Before you is the proposed landscape plan for the project. This image shows the existing master plan. Right now, the layout contemplates medical offices here and retail here. There is parking for the existing hospital to the north. The hospital is developed, as well as a second hospital right here. This property here is contemplated for medical offices. There is a pre-application that has been submitted to the city where the owner of this parcel is contemplating 2 medical offices and a medical office and a clinic on this property here. They are in the pre-application phase, and that, as well as the proposed development site tonight, are the 2 undeveloped lots in the Medical Triangle master plan. I've blown up part of it here that describes the uses that were contemplated for each parcel in the Medical Triangle master plan. This is the proposed amendment to the master plan of the site. Again, this corner here would be amended of the full master plan to show the gas station and the allowed uses in this parcel would be amended to allow a fueling station or gas station in this location of the master plan. Before you are the proposed project elevations of the convenience store associated with the proposed gas station. And staff review. According to section 31-57 of the city's land development code, the purpose of site plan review shall be to ascertain if the proposed new development is in conformity with the comprehensive plan, is not detrimental to the neighboring land use, that an efficient pedestrian and vehicular traffic system, including proper means of ingress and egress to the streets, is provided for, and that the proposed project shall be a viable addition to the community. Additionally, the Land Development Code defines special exceptions as follows. A use, structure, or PUD that would not be appropriate generally or without restriction throughout a particular zoning district, but would, if controlled as to number, area, location, or relocation to neighborhood, be appropriate. The definition of special exception indicates that this class of land uses should be regulated as to the number in a given area, or the use could have a negative impact. The approved master plan for this property includes a specific list of uses for each parcel. These uses were deemed desirable to create a medical center to complement the adjacent Veterans Affairs Hospital. This application requests that the city amend the list of allowed uses in the medical center triangle master plan to allow a gas station. The image before you shows existing development in the area, but specifically we have highlighted the existing gas stations that are in very close proximity to the proposed development. If this is approved, it would add a fourth gas station in a very small area and create a concentration.
Yeah.
There has been extensive review by city staff, and the proposed project is now ready for the board's consideration. We have reviewed it against the comp plan, our zoning codes. We've looked at levels of service, compatibility, landscaping, lighting, parking, and traffic. Staff does not believe that it has met the standards for approval in regards to zoning and compatibility. Staff recommends denial of this application for the following reasons. The project could have a detrimental impact on the neighboring medical land uses. The addition of another gas station at this location would result in an overconcentration of a special exception use, which should be regulated in number. The existing master plan for this property does not allow gas stations. Amending this master plan to allow a gas station is inconsistent with the original intent of the plan. If the board desires to recommend approval for the proposed site plan, staff suggests the following conditions, and these would be our standard conditions that are attached to any site plan. Because of the recommendation, I won't go through each one of them, and that would complete the staff presentation. And if there are no questions for me, I can yield the floor to the applicant, who is here and prepared to present as well.
I just have a question for you. The city council passed on September 6, 2006, a master plan for the area, which was designated certain land use for that area. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And the property owner and any future developers of that property are well aware of that. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, the existing property owners being
They're aware, the property owners are aware of the September 6, 2006 master plan or medical plan, whatever you want to call it, for that area. Am I correct?
Correct. I believe anyone who owns property there is aware of the approved plan for the site.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Sherman, tell me one more time, why did staff deny this project? You said they denied their project. Am I correct?
Our recommendation
Your recommendation, sir.
is for denial.
Say it very slow why you're denying this.
Yes, ma'am. We would summarize it in the following four, that we believe there could be negative impacts to the existing and potential future uses if an additional gas station is added. The addition of another gas station would be an overconcentration of gas stations. It would be a fourth fueling station within a one-block area. We believe that because the existing master plan for this property does not allow a gas station, that would lead us to not recommend approval for it. And then finally, if we amend that existing plan to add a gas station, it would be inconsistent with the purpose and intent of that master plan.
May I ask another question? How long has this applicant been working with trying to get the gas station? Did they just pop up and say, I want to put the gas station here? Did they plan it? How does that go about? How long does it take to even come up with a plan like this? Because it really seemed like it's going to be congested. So they had to see something when they went over there. How long did it take them to go through the process to get here?
This project has been in front of staff for around 3 years.
3 years?
That's correct.
It's just getting here now?
It has gone through various changes and proposals. Initially, there were additional parcels of land that were, well, at least one additional parcel of land that was to be included in the development. So there were some discussions between that property owner and the applicant. And at some point, it changed and that parcel is no longer included. And then the review of the project has also gone along with those changes as well. So it doesn't necessarily take 3 years, but because of different changes to what was proposed, it has taken quite some time. And we did have the pandemic that was a significant delay in the review process for this project as well.
Okay, just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And again, the applicant is here to present on their own behalf as well.
Yes, please, when they approach the podium, make sure you identify yourself, your relationship to the development or the property, and anything else you might want to offer.
One more question.
You want, oh, hold on, Mr. Wiley, Mr. Sherman, Mr. Wiley has one more question for you.
Just to elaborate on what he had up there for the first one, where approval will be detrimental due to the medical use. Can you elaborate more on that situation, far as if we do put a gas station there, would that be harmful to the medical, I guess the potential of more medical buildings put up there? Would it be a health violation? Would it be, what did you see in that? Because I kind of had a couple questions about that entire sentence.
Yes, and that's based on the intention of that development being a concentration of medical uses that play off of and complement the VA hospital, which is a regional medical attraction. The property is not fully developed. There is a vacant parcel to the northwest of this one. Potential tenants of those spaces may be adverse to large 18-wheelers being nearby, potentially idling, and depending on what type of patients they could see, it could not be the best fit for what is intended for the area. So it's not developed at the moment, but it could be inconsistent with what may be proposed in the future. And we do know that 2 buildings are in pre-development right now for that property, one of them already having a proposed use. One of them would be speculative at this point, and again, being that a speculative clinic could be going there or doctor's office, we wouldn't want to discourage the development that is in the direction of what's currently contemplated for this area.
And I also agree with your about the addition of another gas station there. It's already 3 on that corner, and they're pretty, busy. But what's going to happen now? We add a 4th one there, and that's going to be, you may even possibly put a couple people out of business. So, yeah, I agree with that's a little over-concentrated for that area. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one more question to Mr. Sherman. Okay, the hospitals are there. The 4 gas stations have been there for quite a while. Have anything detrimental happened since the 4, is it 4 or 3 there?
3 currently.
3 there, okay. Okay, so you have the VA, then you have the 2 hospitals. I'm trying to figure out, all of a sudden this death trap is coming, the fumes are coming, the other gas station's been there, and has anyone contacted the hospitals to find out how it's faring? Or what do they think about this racetrack coming into their neighborhood? What did they say, or did they say anything?
Mr. Sherman, before you answer that real quick, the medical site plan and where the 3 gas stations are located, they are quite a distance away. Am I correct? So I want to make sure, can you clarify for Ms. Shepherd and us?
I know where they're at. I go there.
You got the Exxon, if I recall correctly. You got the 7-Eleven across on Blue Heron, if I recall.
I've been there.
I forgot the third one. Cumberland Farms, Exxon, and
Cumberland.
7-Eleven, correct? Okay.
Going back to my question, is it anything detrimental? It's 3 there now, and now all of a sudden we're saying, wow, you know, this is going to affect the VA, it's going to affect the other hospitals. I want to know one thing. Did you contact the hospitals? Did they say anything? Did they reply to you about it? How do they feel?
A notice did go out for this. We did not receive any responses from the neighbors to this point.
So they don't feel threatened, because if I felt threatened, I would have called the city and said something. I'm just putting out there, all of a sudden, I understand it. I definitely understand. I went over there. I know what it looked like. But I don't think it's fair to come in here and say, well, you know, this gas station coming, all these fumes going to get, the fumes are there. I mean, come on. I just feel that, you know, give them a fair shot. I understand. But I just wouldn't say the fumes are coming in and everybody in the hospital, the patients are coming in. If it was going to be a big hoo-la-la, it should be with the 3 there. My opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening. Mr. Chairman, board members, staff, my name is Wayne Richards, and I do represent Racetrack. With me are Ms. Samantha Jones from Racetrack Corporate and Mr. Brian Terry from Insight Studios. We're very happy to be here this evening. We will show you why this use is actually appropriate for this location. We will show you why at this time, 17 years after this was approved, this use is appropriate. The name of this center is actually called the Triangle Commerce Center. I heard a different name earlier. This is the Triangle Commerce Center. It was approved 17 years ago. We will also show you tonight that all of the elements for a special exception have been met. There was a question a few moments ago. We will show you in a few moments that the Property Owners Association for the Triangle Commerce Center supports this use. That was a very good question I just heard. We will speak to the fact that the Property Owners Association for Triangle Commerce Center supports this use. We'll also show you that this convenience store and fueling is far superior to at least 2 of the very minor stations that are somewhat close by. There are 2 stations, and we all live here. We pass these. We know what they are. They're very small, and I don't know how much longer they'll be here. We will also show you that this location is in a highly industrial, commercial truck route. I drive the B-line every day, at least 6 times. We're going to show you that there are tens of thousands of trips on the B-line. That is that's an SIS state roadway. We know when that was improved, MLK Boulevard. That was improved with tens of millions of dollars from the state of Florida because that is a truck route. It is a SIS roadway on the Florida Department of Transportation's map. Once again, please try to go on this with an open mind and listen to what we're going to share with you. That is our request, please. Mr. Terry, thank you. Brian? One second.
Good evening. My name is Brian Terry. I'm with Insight Studio here on behalf of the applicant, Racetrack. And again, I do appreciate our chance here to speak to you and kind of tell you our story. It's been, as was mentioned, it's been a a few years, a couple years that we've been through this process. It is due to some movement of the real estate side of what was being considered as part of this application. The battery store, the tire and battery store was one time a part of the application. Once that was removed, we kind of had to reapply and come back through the process again. So it's taken a bit of time, but we're certainly very happy to be here this evening. Again, as you've heard, I don't want to belabor the points that have already been made. You know, it's a site plan and a special exception request that we're in front of you for. I'll get to the plans. Obviously, I think we're all very familiar with the site location at this point in time. Again, zooming in, the location is on that the south corner of the triangle itself, of the Triangle Commerce Center, and just north of the battery store, which is right there on the corner. One of the points, the reason why we're here this evening is because of what we're surrounded by. The reality of this location is everything that you see in the purple color is industrial land use, industrial zoning that surrounds this entire area. We have the commercial that is part of the Commerce Center parcel and the existing gas stations that are to the north, but by far and away, this is an industrial area. Same thing with the zoning map that you're seeing here. Anything that's in the purple, anything that's in the blue represents industrial land use. Again, I think Mr. Sermons did note the existing approval. The existing approval was for approximately 27,000 square feet, of which was an office building in this location, and then retail across here. Again, not every use that was contemplated within this development back in 2006 was medical uses. It was general office, it was retail, along with some commercial, some medical uses. Just so you guys understand, in 2006, I was part of the team that developed this master plan with the GATA folks who were doing this, who purchased this property, master planned it, and we're working towards the development overall. Got a very long history and knowledge of how this was contemplated. Again, that's a blow up of that parcel. This is just a site comparison. Again, if we're talking about congestion, we're talking about intensity, we're talking about traffic, you know, we're reducing the intensity of this property by about 21,000 square feet of use. That's significant. It's significant in a lot of different ways, especially from the traffic perspective of what will be coming to the property. We have traffic approvals from Palm Beach County and that all show a reduction in trips and a reduction in vehicle trips and traffic to the property as opposed to how it's currently approved. Again, what is our neighborhood? What is our community? This is our community. The battery and tire shop that's on the corner, the industrial kind of commercial space that's on the east side of Military Trail, the self-storage that's on the east side of Military Trail, and then obviously the E.J. Healy, which is the most adjacent medical use that's internal to the development. So again, this is kind of our site plan being overlaid into the overall development. As you can see, again, access, actually, one of the things that, and I apologize, my eyes are not that good. I can't read my own ADT trips now at this point in time, but I think, you know, there's over 60,000 cars that travel between Military and Beeline at this corner on a daily basis. 60,000 cars, okay? That is why there's an opportunity and something that can be beneficial to the community. These are all residents in Riviera Beach or Palm Beach County, or frankly, they're traveling much further because it's on a shipping corridor and as Mr. Richards mentioned, the SIS corridor of Beeline Highway. Jumping into the site plan specifically, the main convenience store again is right here in the center of the property with the traditional fueling canopy that we're all accustomed to at a racetrack gas station being in front. You know, the parking are kind of adjacent in these two locations, landscape buffering around the perimeter, of which a lot of the existing vegetation will be maintained. The unique part of this plan is the diesel canopy, which is on this side of the property. So this is unique. This is a new trend that Racetrack and frankly some others you'll be seeing come in the future, especially in a location like this where there's so much warehousing, where there's so much industrial use and so much heavy traffic, providing for, this is 2 lanes only, okay? This is not a real expanded traffic or a truck stop style use. You've got 2 fueling, high-speed diesel fueling capacity pumps in this location. If you see, we don't have parking for trailers. We don't have spaces for them to sit and idle, or sit overnight, or do any of that. This is strictly for those trucks that are in the area, can fuel quickly, and then get back on the road and move. Again, so architecturally, this is very consistent with what I think you've seen throughout Palm Beach County. The Racetrack, the new brand of Racetrack, nice, clean architecture, very consistent with the brand that you see, not just here locally, but throughout the state. This is the side which would have the outdoor seating patio, which also is very consistent with what you see. Standard canopies. So the canopy that's on the front side of the building is the same as the canopy that would be on the diesel side of the building. So again, very consistent. One thing I would like to note about talking about that architecture as well is part of the process we've been going through with the Property Owners Association is that they have given us consent and acknowledgement of the application we've made and brought forward to you guys here this evening. They've been fully aware of this for 3 years and been supportive of our processing this application. They've been supportive of the architecture that you see, which they've reviewed, and they've reviewed the landscape architecture as well. So there are obviously special exception criteria that we need to work through. I mean, again, the incompatibility I think has been discussed. Look, the gas stations were there before the Triangle Commerce Center was developed. They existed. E.J. Healy, the Kindred Health, they all came to that property understanding that there were gas stations there. We don't think that that's a compatibility issue. I think it's been proven out that those uses don't see that as a concern. Speaking to the roadway itself, again, this has been kind of discussed. The fact that it's on MLK and Beeline really is important. I think some of the uses that are Riviera Beach uses that are reliant upon that corridor, reliant upon being able to access it, reliant upon opportunities to fuel, are some of the major players. Again, my eyes are going to fail me, but I see Coca-Cola, Cheney Brothers, Cisco, CEMEX, Tropical Shipping, and then of course the port. Again, it's all on this corridor that is so important to the community. We have the special exception criteria. There's a few of them. I don't want to belabor every one of them, but I do want to just kind of have here an understanding of how the site is operating. Our access is from 2 locations that are already approved, were DOT approved and built and constructed. Originally, we're not going to DOT. We're not asking for new curb cuts that could create additional or modified congestion issues. We do have pedestrian access that leads directly from the Military Trail sidewalk to the store, so we think we have both safe vehicular and pedestrian access. The notes B and C are really a function of how do you orient your parking? Are you doing it in a logical manner, which we believe we are. Obviously, the parking is oriented directly adjacent to and accessible for the convenience store. We have parking that is, mirroring or across from the parking lot that's already existing. And then we've located the dumpsters in the service component and loading area on the south side of the building nearest to the battery and tire shop. A couple more points that, again, D, special exception standard D, has to do with utilities and serviceability of this. We are within Riviera Beach service districts for water and sewer, which obviously are to the property and had been developed and designed to service this property, actually service significantly more square footage than we're proposing here. And then obviously it's in the northern Palm Beach County Drainage District, which also the drainage has already been permitted across the entire site. It's a South Florida permit that manages the entire property, which has already been done. The landscaping side of it, again, this is the picture on the bottom here is from Military Trail. This is the corner and the access point. If you had an opportunity or would take an opportunity to look at the landscape plan, we are proposing pretty significant improvements along that area to fill in what is not fully developed at this point. And then on the Beeline side, same thing. There's a lot of existing mature vegetation we're preserving and then supplementing to fill in the voids and the gaps that may have disappeared over the years to really make sure it's a beautiful, we can continue beautifying that corridor. There was some comments in the staff report about the concern with noise, potentially, again, I think odors, the lighting, all of which, again, I just have to reiterate, the property owner association, of which each property owner, every single entity within that, has been well aware of our application, of the plans that we're proposing, and have been supportive of those for now approximately 3 years. So we do have a lighting plan. Obviously, it meets the city's criteria. I think that was one of the items that was noted as we were successful in obtaining staff support on. So the lighting is consistent and compatible or consistent with the code. Well, I'm not sure how to go back at this point, but I think we were at the end. And with that, I appreciate you guys listening to us here this evening. I know Samantha would like to make a comment, but if you have any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them.
I think we'll save the questions towards the end. Ma'am?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Samantha Jones. I'm here representing Racetrack. I work for Racetrack Corporate. Wanted to thank staff and the board for letting us be here tonight. It's obviously been a long journey, and I think that speaks to how passionate we are about this location and this project. To also emphasize the point of we have closed on the property. Our seller was a member of the POA. There are certain guidelines that go along with that, and the POA has reviewed our plans, architecturally, landscape. They are aware of our purchase and our development. So certainly want to stress that as it speaks to the compatibility with the area, and I'm here along with the rest of our team for any questions.
Thank you, Samantha, and thank you for your time. Once again, that previous approval happened 17 years ago, and that office building and the retail center that was contemplated has not happened in 17 years. This site is on the Beeline Highway. Many of us drive the Beeline Highway, and the Beeline Highway is part of the Strategic Intermodal System, the SIS, that's Florida's high-priority network of transportation facilities important to the state's economy and mobility. The governor and legislature established the SIS in 2003 to focus the state's limited transportation resources on the facilities most significant for interregional, interstate, and international travel. The SIS is the state's highest priority for transportation capacity investments and a primary focus for implementing the Florida Transportation Plan, FTP, which is the state's long-range transportation vision and policy plan. Please realize this use is appropriate, it is very well designed, and it's needed on that roadway in this industrial area. We're here for questions. Thank you very much.
Could you do me a favor? Can you pull up the screenshot with the egress and ingress from that property, the yellow? The one with the yellow arrows. Just leave it up.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Shepherd, let's start with you with questions.
If you allow me to go last, Mr. Chair, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Board Member Gowan?
I don't have any questions really per se. I just have issues with a fourth gas station there. Also, I've heard speech from Mr. Wayne Richards. I've heard that speech before with the warehouse that's on Beeline. The businesses that you named, all of those businesses have their own gas. So I don't see a point in putting another filling station there. Also, with the medical buildings that are there and the ones that may come, I don't think that this is a good fit for another gas station. The city of Riviera Beach is full of gas stations and warehouses. I don't see a room for another. I don't get it.
May I ask, Mr. I didn't hear what you said. You said the businesses, could you repeat a statement you said all of the businesses have something or another. Could you repeat what you said?
The businesses that they named, like Cisco, CMAX, they have their own gas.
Oh, that's what you said. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallen. Ms. Burgess?
I'm just kind of wondering why not build farther west on the B line?
I mean, it's availability of opportunities. I think that there's, it's not just being on the B line, it's being at the intersection of B line and Military Trail, frankly. It's both corridors are important to access, to the importance of being able to provide service to all the cars that are going on here. It's not just B line. Again, it's a total of 60,000 trips that are coming through there. Yes, there's existing gas stations. I think that what Racetrack brings to the table is something that's certainly class above. It's corporate owned, it's corporate managed, it's a food service and a convenience service that simply just doesn't exist in those that are adjacent or near here or anywhere within close proximity of this.
I totally agree with the city's recommendations on why it's just incompatible land use at the location for all of the reasons. So I don't have any additional questions or comments at this time. I just really agree with the city's recommendations.
Thank you, Board Member Burgess. I have a question on the egress and ingress. Good luck trying to make that left turn on B-line into your gas station. Now I want to come back and continue south on B-line. Or if I'm a tractor trailer, I want to continue south to the Port of Palm Beach. What do I do? Go make a right on Military Trail and clog that up to the next intersection and then make the left? I mean, look at that layout there. You come out of Racetrack, you have a right-hand turn. You have an in-turn, but how do I get back on southbound B-line if I'm a tractor trailer? Or, I don't get it. Are you going to, all the travel going southbound, you're going to throw them onto Military Trail so they can make a left at that intersection? Because you're not going to be able to cross B-line again to go southbound. So how do you figure that out? How is that figured into this development?
Right, if you're southbound, that would be the case. You would go to Military and then you would go south on Military. That would be the direction that you would exit this property. If you're, the expectation, again, the majority of the trips are anticipated coming from the east, going west, and that's how you see the access for that. Again, I don't want it to just be a conversation about, diesel or tractor trailers. That's not what this is. Again, it's a gas station. Right,
it's traffic flow. That's what I was questioning, is traffic flow. Besides the only one way on Military Trail, is there any other way?
Yeah, keep in mind too, there's other access points. This continues north. If we zoom out, we go back a slide.
Okay.
You see the larger picture of the overall development. Again, access is interconnected. It goes all the way up to Blue Heron Boulevard. At Blue Heron Boulevard, you have opportunity to then turn right and go east from there as well, or head. I actually can't recall. My label is right over the top of that. If that has an access to be able to turn west, I'm not positive. Right at the right where it says blue. That's right only.
Yeah.
Right. So, but again, I mean, this is one master plan development. There's cross access across the entire property. We don't anticipate, nor have we designed it, and we've made sure that the larger vehicles will not be making that maneuver, frankly, because we don't want them navigating through the middle of the center. And we wanted, again, but you and I driving our cars obviously can navigate the roundabout and move our way up to Blue Heron.
The other issue you mentioned, yes, 17 years, you are correct. but we have land in Riviera Beach that we would like to see used for other purposes. We have enough industrial. So I'm personally, if I'm building a medical facility or a medical location next to it, I wouldn't want a major gas station like that near me. That's my own humble opinion. Mr. Wiley?
Oh, well, my question, just to elaborate what you spoke on, they said that they spoke to the majority of the property owners and the hospital in that area, right, in that triangle. And they stated that they supported the idea. And if we had literature or, had paperwork, or they came in and they supported this, then I think it would probably be a decent idea, because the gas station that I think that they're bringing in is more of an elite gas station, to where it's not going to be just a smaller store. We don't want to get rid of the mom and pop stores or the smaller stores here. Of course, we don't run business out, but it will be very advantageous for what we have coming down Martin Luther King Boulevard and going down the Beeline, because we do have a lot of trucks coming in from Military Trail and traveling back and forth down Beeline. And I think what he was stating was that majority of the trucks who will be gassing up will be leaving the east and going to the west. So technically it's made to go in and then come back out and proceed west, rather than going back to the east side. But again, with that property there, the only problem I would have with it, if that triangle is meant for medical facility and they state that they support this item, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. But if the people who are running the medical facility for future land use decides that, hey, listen, we want to put some more things here or whatever, and now that gas station is going to be a detriment to what we're building, then that would be an issue for me.
Mr. Chair.
Well, I got Ms. Clark 1 minute. Ms. Clark goes next, then Ms. Shepherd.
All right. From Broadway all the way down to Military Beeline, we have 17 gas stations already. Our residents have already communicated to us, Riviera Beach is the raw, always warehouses, always gas stations, always liquor stores, always things that we have too much of that really isn't bringing us a downtown or giving us places to go and things to do. This being right by the hospital really concerns me. I understand what you're saying about the traffic. Well, you're not there now. These trucks are going. They're getting gassed up. They're doing okay now. I don't understand why would I care about it? What I do care about is what the residents in that area who said they are struggling with traffic now. They can barely get into their community. They can barely get down Military. They can barely get down Beeline. They can barely do anything because of all of the commercialism over there. And they've been very, very vocal about that. I'm just not in favor of this because of what the community has said. I see that, sure, those businesses would support you, but it's for them. It's for Racetrack. What about the community? The community has already spoken. No more gas stations, no more liquor stores, no more dollar stores. We're trying to figure out who we are and what we want to be. What happened in 2006 is certainly not who we are in 2023. And we're looking at who we want to be in 2023 and moving forward. And we just had a meeting on branding. And I'm struggling with our city right now in terms of branding. Just came out of a meeting with, I want to say, Rybovich sold their property to South Harbor or Safe Harbor, and they basically told us we own the land, we can build whatever we want to do. We're just coming here to tell you what we're going to do, and we're going to do it whether you like it or not. I'm really kind of frustrated by that mindset of these developers coming in and saying that. I appreciate the gentleman in the blue suit presenting your business case. I understand, I appreciate that you're here. I just wish it could be somewhere else. further up Beeline where there is nothing there. But we have 17 gas stations already.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Mr. Barnes, do you have any comments?
Just a couple. I mean, we've got the opportunity to continue to enhance the city by allowing us to have more medical here. So we're talking about doctors and nurses and others versus truck drivers coming in here. I don't think it's a good idea for us to change the zoning that we've got there, to change the site plan that we've got there. I think it's laughable that that people are going to go to a racetrack to eat lunch from the surrounding areas. And, eaten at a lot of restaurants, but never gone out of my way to go to racetrack to eat. So I don't think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Ms. Shepherd?
Yes, thank you. While it was on my mind, Mr. Wiley said something that kind of jogged a thought in my mind. Those gas stations around there, because I do travel that area pretty heavy, they're not doing such a great business. I mean, it's not bubbling over. And I think I have bought gas in each one of those areas. And what is really bogging up my mind is that the VA is there, the medical centers are there. I've been to the VA, and the food in that place is very expensive. I go to the racetrack. I'm prejudiced. That's why I said let me go last, because I'm very prejudiced about racetrack. I get my gas there. If I'm going to the doctor, I think I heard one of them said the food wasn't that good. The food is very good. Very clean in there. Customer service is very good, and I would not knock their service. Someone just said 22 fuel pumps. Why do you need 22 fuel pumps?
I think that needs to be clarified, actually. There's basically 16 vehicle fueling positions. So there's let me go back one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's double, there's, well, there's 8 pumps that allow you, obviously, you pump on either side, whichever lane you're in on either side of that. So there's 16 positions for the vehicle. And then there's 2 pumps that would work for the high capacity diesel. So it's a total of 18 really fueling positions or places you could.
Do you have a spot for the electric cars? And
good question.
It's a good question. Well, I'm standing here with 2 electric vehicle owners myself, and we just discussed it. If you want to address it.
The electric vehicle market is certainly something that we're moving towards and are actually currently working on our first self-funded EV install in Alabama. Obviously, some of the utility in that legislation has made it difficult, particularly in Georgia and Florida, to sell power, but it is something that we are open to and are working towards expanding our footprint in.
okay, just asking. Because I was at Wawa the other day, and I didn't know why the line was stalling. And my granddaughter said, Nana, they're filling up, they're plugging into the electric things. And I said, oh, that's what's going on? She said, yeah, this is the wave of the future. That's why I was if you're going to be an elite gas station, that is something I really think about, because they were backed up all the way to the street.
Yeah, and our plan is to do it like privately, not partner to have like Tesla specific chargers. We want to be able to fit all vehicles. And we also would install a canopy for that user to not differentiate the experience for any of our customers.
And while I was over there today, I really took a good look. I was taking it all in. The city of Riviera Beach, I heard somebody say rebranding. And I noticed with the port, with the trucks going to the port back and forth, and you have Cisco and all of them taking that road down. That is a busy, busy road. There are 3 gas stations. If you want to make me believe that it's a hazard to the VA, they've been there quite a while. And I heard Mr. Wiley say this is going to be a elite gas station. And with the city growing and rebranding and people coming to the city, because once they start with the marina product, people are going to come. And I know on Broadway where I live, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And they're going to North Palm Beach and Palm Beach Gardens, but people stop at these stations. But I'm going back to having the area for the food. How many tables going to be out there? Have you decided?
It's 4 tables on the outdoor patio with 16 total seat, one being ADA.
Okay, so that's like the one on
45th.
Yes, that's a good place.
It's the same, but this has site-specific architecture for both the city standards and to be compatible with the existing development in the medical uses.
Okay, yes, I like that one. That's the one I prefer. But if I'm in a hurry, I would go to the one over across from Walmart near North Lake. So I don't want to condemn the project. I really don't, because I know for a fact we're growing. Whether I like it or not, it's growing. I live over in Lakeview, where Safe Harbor is coming. And people have this idea that they're coming in, they're taking up. Rivalville been there ever since I come to the state of Florida, because my family had property over there and they bought their property. So I know they've been there for a while. And they have the capacity. If you think that these people are not thinking like Racetrack, they're thinking above the mindset of they're growing. You're the one sitting there thinking, I don't want them in my neighborhood. Well, they've been in your neighborhood. And so that's why that property with the VA and all these medical, people want to go and just sit for a few minutes and have a decent hot dog or a sandwich. I like Slurpees, but the doctor told me to forget the Slurpees. But I mean, I see it. I can really see it. I do have a problem with Lone Pine because they filled this place up, and they said that if Dale Horton builds the projects with Lone Pine, it's going to jam them up getting in and getting out. But we now realize that Lone Pine has to come back to the city, the council. I think, Mr. Sherman, am I right? Or is it a done deal?
Carrington Pines project has not come back for second reading yet.
Okay, so it has to come back.
That's correct.
Okay, so we don't know what's going to happen in that area. But I see the project because I see the hospitals. I see Beeline Highway. People are coming up from the port and they're going out to the Beeline. I travel that road going to Belglade. So I know it's a very busy road. And I know the trucks are coming there. So are we going to stop development? Because sooner or later, even if they don't build this project, somebody coming back, because that land is a very piece of valuable land.
A couple of points that I don't know that were specifically made. Obviously, yes, there's competition at the intersection on a medium-bound road, both roads being medium-bound. So this is the only one immediately accessible from Beeline Highway and only one of 2 on that southbound approach to Military, I think is important to point out, as well as the fact that this is less average daily trips than the approved master plan, and that gas is a pass-by use. No one gets in their car to go to the gas station adding trips to the road. Those are trips that are already there, and we don't believe causes additional congestion.
Okay. If there's no additional questions.
I'm not finished.
I'm sorry.
I didn't yield the floor. I'm still thinking. I'm a little older than all of you all. Give me a chance. So with the other piece of property, I think someone said it's going to be medical buildings, am I correct?
He said a pre-application meeting for that?
A pre-application already in. For what? How many stories? Or they just put the application in and you're not sure what they're going to do?
They've had a pre-application meeting, and they may have submitted already this week. They were talking with our tech team about accessing the online portal. So they've drafted all of their documents and are just trying to get through some technical difficulties to submit. But from what they presented at the pre-application meeting, there's 2 buildings. One of them is 2 floors. The other is 1.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be a small one. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You got it, Ms. Shepherd.
I know I was a little long-winded, but thank you.
You got it, Ms. Shepherd. Mr. Wiley, you have one question?
Yes, one thing, just to elaborate on what 2 of my members said. With the Lone Pine situation, and I think she just actually brought a good point up to where the gas station being an elite gas station, it's not going to bring more traffic to the area. It's just going to service the traffic that are coming through the area. So So far as the people who live here are passing through here, instead of them stopping at other gas stations, whatever, they're gonna stop at that gas station and utilize it there. So I don't think it's gonna bring more traffic or be any harmful to the Long Pine, neighborhood, anyway, so hopefully that's the case. But I wanted to ask also, young lady, with Racetrack, one of the most important things that we're trying to do here is we spoke of rebranding with our city, and we want to be able to grow. And do you have are there any other race, if I'm correct, I don't think it's any other racetracks in Riviera Beach, is that correct?
There's one on Blue Heron, just west of 95. It's an older,
Got it,
it's
right,
an older
right,
city.
right. So you're already part of the Riviera Beach family?
Yes.
All right, one thing I was wondering, I was hoping that since you are, and this is a project, that's gonna be a very big project in our city, would there be any programs far as, and something that's near and dear to me would be education. And what is your department doing, or what is your organization doing to actually contribute to the city as far as like helping out with education or helping out with beautification or anything like that?
And I think that's something that we can discuss because of our footprint and, multiple states. A lot of our efforts are more national. We partner with the Michael J. Fox Foundation as our chairman of the board, and son of our founder has Parkinson's. So that's a lot more of our initiatives, but if that's something that's important to the city, I think we can certainly speak more to it at that time.
Okay, because one thing we want to do with the rebranding of this city is actually building up the education here to build a better city. So that's what the whole point of the rebranding is. So we will want you guys to be a part of that also and helping out with our city grow to be, I guess what we say, the best place to live, work, and play. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, if there's no further, can we just bring site plan application SP 2020-23 and special exception application SE 20-02? Do we have a motion to bring it to a vote?
So moved.
Do I have a second to bring it to a vote?
Second.
Ms. Davidson, roll call.
Margaret Shepherd?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. May I clarify whether the vote is to accept staff's recommendation or make a recommendation for approval?
Well, we're going to vote on both matters before us, yay or nay.
Okay. Okay, understood.
So we're voting whether to accept the site plan and the special exception which you need for the site plan. So it's either a yay or a nay. Or do you have another way of bringing it up?
It hasn't been clarified, though.
Yes, I'm a little confused now.
Hey, Mr. Sermon, would you like to, or Madam Attorney?
Mr. Chair, if I may, what I would recommend is you have your special exception and your site plan. You can handle them together, but it needs to be clear if it's a motion to approve or a motion to deny. And then when there's a roll call vote, it's the appropriate response to that motion that's been made and seconded on the table. Now, the one thing that I want to mention is obviously with special exceptions, this board has the ability, if the intent is to approve the special exception, you do have the ability to create additional conditions as part of your approval to ensure that the special exception is in the best public interest. So if it is a motion to approve the special exception, you can add additional conditions. I know that staff has provided, if it's approved, there are standard conditions in the package. So I think from staff's recommendation, if it's to approve the special exception, it would be at a minimum with staff's conditions. So the motion should clarify whether it is to approve or to deny. You can handle them both at the same time, or if you want, separate them.
Why don't we separate and make it easier, the site plan? Motion to approve or deny the site plan. I just thought that if we disapprove one, the other one is a moot point. But let's just go with the site plan. So let's have a motion to bring the site plan application SP 20-23 to the floor for an approval or denial of that application.
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion for a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, to deny the site plan application SP 2023.
Do we have a second?
Second.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
And deny? Deny.
So denial is a yes vote, am I correct?
So the motion is to deny.
Denying the site plan. That's what-
Right.
So be yes.
Yes.
So is it a yes vote to deny?
A yes to deny.
William Wiley,
No.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
The motion to deny is passed with board members Shepherd and Wiley dissenting.
Now, Madam Attorney, since the site application was denied, do we need to vote on the special exception application? Your decision.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend going ahead and doing that because you are ultimately making a recommendation to the city council. So just for the record, you may want to also take a separate vote on that just so that the recommendation can be made when it goes before city council.
Okay, do I have a board member and a second for the special exception application SE 20-02, approve or deny?
Chair,
Yes, ma'am?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the special exception application SE 2002.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Margaret Shepherd,
No.
James Gallen,
Yes.
Renee Burgess,
Yes.
Evelyn Harris Clark,
Yes.
William Wiley,
No.
Frank Fernandez.
Yes.
The motion to deny passed with board members Shepherd and Wiley dissenting.
Thank you very much. Item 9 on the agenda, workshop items.
None from staff today, Mr. Chair.
Okay. General discussion, number 10, public comments. Correspondence.
None.
Are there any planning and zoning board comments besides the upcoming March 23rd, 2023 tentative meeting?
Just some brief updates from staff. At the last meeting, we were directed to conduct research on employment commitments made by projects coming through here. I just wanted to say that we are in the middle of that, and at the next meeting, we'll have a report for you on that topic.
Excellent.
There are minutes that we will get to you. We are working with our outside company, and we should have minutes from the last meeting and possibly this one as well at the next meeting. So we'll make sure we get that to you. And finally, it was requested to have minutes from our steering committee meetings with the for the comp plan. We have not had additional steering committee meetings since the last time we met, but Ms. Simon will provide a summary of minutes and progress to this point at the coming meeting.
Yes, because we haven't seen anything from any of the previous meetings. I don't even know how many they had.
There's been two.
Okay, just a synopsis.
Absolutely, we'll get that at the next meeting.
One quick request, I know we might have some major development proposals. I would ask if you have anything major coming up that you know is going to be a major development plan. Could you give us at least 2 weeks' notice so we can review? Then we can contact your office with questions. I'm going to have questions such as, has the residents been apprised When did they meet with the developers? Do we have any feedback from the residents? You see what I'm getting at? That way we avoid any contentious board meetings.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can say in that vein that we do expect a project of significance to be on the March 23rd Planning and Zoning Board agenda. The notices have begun to go out for it. They are working up until the last minute to finalize all project plans and documentation. But to your direction, we will make sure we get that report out in ample time as we're able to. Generally, our goal is a week in advance to have the report to you, and I've been scalded, and I'll make sure we are doing better with that. And I believe this time we did provide adequate time. However, for that one, we'll get out as soon as possible, but we are working very closely with everyone involved to get all of their documentation finalized.
Perfect. Anything else from the...
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to bring attention to, on the last city council meeting, they elected their new chair and a new vice chair. And this is our time of the year that we have to elect a new chair and vice chair. When the city council elect, then planning and zoning automatically fit into to that category to elect the new officers. I think we were a little late last year. Instead of March, I think we did in April. You can check your records, but I know we were a little late because council had already been in session before it was brought to the table. So it is that time of the year, March.
I recall it was the summer, but I don't have the dates in front of me. We were very late, but I don't recall the exact date. Can we address that on the March 23rd meeting when you can pull up the dates?
Yes, staff will conduct research on that. I have to verify what's in our ordinance. I do believe there's language saying that a chair will be selected, but if there's anything regarding the dates or actually when, or the term has to be a full year before new elections can take place, I'll make sure I research that and get back to you at the coming meeting, and we will move forward and take action as necessary based on staff research.
Yeah, just send us the email. Yeah, send us the email with the research and the city ordinance or whatever you come up with so we can just take a quick glance at it.
Understood.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd.
One more thing, Mr. Chair. And it's just something for the board to think about. Once again, City Council has 7:30 the comments from the public. And I think it's something very serious that we need to take because being over at Lakeview, they wanted to come to the city council meeting. They had to leave because the council was going into the first reading, I think. And I expressed to them, come to planning and zoning because our meetings are not long. But I think if you all would just agree, I think we get more people if we do public comments time certain at 7:30. Just something to think about. There's citizens that have to go to work. I don't think they want to be here all night listening to us conduct our business. And I think it would just be nice if we come to the conclusion we need to be time certain at 7:30. Just my opinion.
Well, right now, we have public comments before we even review or adopt any development proposals before us. So wouldn't you want public comments at the time the item is brought to us? Or do you prefer 7:30 slot for everybody to come up on the podium?
I think, Mr. Chair, you got public comments at the very end of your agenda. I understand we get in heated conversation, and sometimes we will go over the 7:30. But I think for consideration of the members of this city that I'm told they would like to come on and speak. I had a couple calls about Lone Pine and a couple calls talking about we're not giving fair share business to our residents. And they want to speak on those items, but they don't want to be here during a lengthy meeting that we're dragging and prolonging. So I think just being unison, being courteous to them, 7:30 time certain. Now, if we're going into a lengthy conversation, I understand we have to keep on going,
But at 7:30, if we're not, allow them to speak. It's just my opinion.
Do you think we could allow them to speak after developer and the city makes their presentation, and then allow them to speak on that topic?
That's the way it had been, Chair, that
That's what we've
we
been
gave
doing.
the courtesy of the staff present.
Correct.
The courtesy of the guests to speak, then the public comments, because it makes sense.
Correct.
That the audience hears both sides, because their opinion or questions may change, and then you conduct it accordingly how you see that we should fit in. But I think the way that we have been doing it was just fair, and those people appreciated, our residents appreciated, because they heard both sides.
That's the way I would feel we should continue, because that's the way we had it.
Mr. Chair, we
Yeah.
have had lengthy conversations that drug on, and people were here one night at, not 11 o'clock, it was around 9:30, 10 o'clock. I don't think it's fair. If we're in the middle of a conversation that's something totally different, I understand that you can't stop it. You talk, but when you stop with that one item at 7:30, if it's open, allow the public to speak. We do in a city council meeting. If they're in a heated debate, they go on. If they go on to 8:30, 9 o'clock, okay, we can't stop it. But we can stop it and start engaging that one way through with that one item. If it's 7:30, allow the public to come. Why do you not think these seats are not full? Why do you not think it? During the mooring field, whatever it was, you saw everybody here because they went on that one agenda. And I don't think that the community should be punished because we're so engaged in whatever we're doing. It's fine. We're here to do the business of the city. But by the same time, I want to engage the community to come out here. Lakeview wanted to come and speak. But they got up and left because they said that it was too lengthy. It's just a voice of hospitality that we should start giving our community. Mr. Chair.
Ms. Burgess?
That's not the norm for P&Z meetings. 7:30, we're practically done with the whole meeting. So the way we've been doing it, I think, is feasible. We hardly ever have anyone here. We don't know the reason why, but the public certainly has the opportunity. I mean, that can be decided on a case-by-case basis. If it happens again, then we can make that recommendation that night at the meeting, but that's an outlier. That hardly ever happens at our meetings.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Shepherd.
I beg to differ with what was said. People do not come, it's not because of us, because we have a good name. I must say, people say very good things about planning and zoning. And I'm very proud because I've been here, I think Simone said last 16 years, so it should be 17 for me. So I've been a part of it. And it's been times that I think out of pure courtesy that we should not keep our public here late at night. What I'm talking about with the city council, they drug on a meeting where people came here at 7:30, and little by little, the people from Lone Pine left, the people from Lakeview left, and right now I'm speaking about Lakeview because it's in my backyard, and I want them to understand, coming to planning and zoning and voicing your opinion, you will be heard. They are right now in dire need, and people putting things in their head that's just not true. I live here, I know what's going on, and I sit there and I try, and I thank the mayor, and I think Miss Kashama Miller Anderson coming to these meetings and getting a clear shot at what's going on. They deserve to hear what's going on. City council meeting, you can't get a word in. Instead of 7:30, they go to 8:30 sometimes. And I think we should have the courtesy of saying, come to our meetings and see how we conduct business, because I think we're not perfect, but I think we do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. Okay.
Are you still on different comments? Are you still going down?
Well, if anybody else has any comments that we haven't addressed.
Oh, this is to Mr. Sermons. We had had an applicant a long time ago in which we approved that port project, and they, for the lack of words, built that kind of vat to move product from the port over to ships, and they were supposed to come and paint the big tower, welcome to Riviera Beach, and put some artwork. Could you provide next time a status as to what happened to that? Because that was a contingency of their application, and I know that they got direction from City Council as to what sort of art should be up there, if you could follow up. And if you can indulge me just for a moment, can you let me know, on 11th Street, there is a big commercial business that has big, giant crane-type equipment. Is that a city business and property, or is it private? Because shipping containers are now sitting on the swell on 11th Street. If you could just maybe offline touch bases with me on it. I'm so sorry.
Yes, ma'am. So we will look into that. I have been in contact with Sunstar Logistics. And we've asked that same question. When is the city name going to be on there? And I think there was some marine life that would go on the sides. They said they are approaching that phase on the project, and I'll engage them to get a more specific timeline. But we have asked those questions, and they have been engaging with the city as they are nearing completion of the construction phase of it. And as far as 11th Street, I will look into that to see if I can make sure I identify the parcel and provide some updates.
I'll show you some pictures offline.
Thank you.
Anything else on the board? Anything else from your team?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, it is 8:13 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.